Want some candy?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I hear you looking for candy, man, bitch.
Give me some sugar, baby. Like scary movies.
Want some candy?
Hey there, assholes. You're listening to Monster Candy Podcast. We have a sweet tooth for horror movies, and we are just dying to talk about it. I am your host, Shotzi Blackheart, and here with me, we have Dominic Davy.
Hey, everybody.
And Screamin' E.
What's up?
On this episode, we are talking about Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water. It is about a mute woman who works as a cleaning lady in a government laboratory, and she befriends the lab's classified secret, a creature from the Black Lagoon-esque monster. So what'd you guys think?
I loved it, honestly. I was a little surprised by some of the people who were kind of down on it, because, like, online everybody's praising the shit out of this movie, but, like, I've seen a couple horror fans be like, I don't know, but it's like, I thought it was a beautiful fairy tale.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, it is a beautifully filmed, like, fairy tale, like, more fairy tale than anything. It looks like a fairy tale based from horror. Like, you wouldn't have this movie if it wasn't for horror, but it's like, this is a whimsical love story.
Oh, yeah.
Like, in that
Yeah, definitely not a horror movie.
No.
Definitely fantasy, but the fact that it's Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm just gonna say, like, that's like...
It's Creature.
Yeah, that's straight up Creature. So, that's why we're talking about it. And yeah, it is beautiful, as expected, from Guillermo del Toro. I can't say his name. Guillermo del Toro. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, there, see? There
Well,
you go. Not bad, Wedo.
It was definitely the most beautiful bestiality film I've ever seen. Pro bestiality.
Pro bestiality.
Yeah.
Movie. You know, I don't feel like bestiality's gotten its fair shakes in
No.
It has now.
Well, the movie came... I remember reading that it came from Del Toro when he was a kid, and he was watching Creature from the Black Lagoon, which is his favorite classic horror movie, and I think it's up there for all of us. I mean,
It's definitely my favorite monster. I mean, as you can see, behind us is my creature wall.
Yeah, they can't see that. This is...
Well, they can't see, but you guys can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
It was,
But his basic reasoning for where the story came from was him saying, "Why can't the creature get the girl?" Mm-hmm. That is literally.
I agree.
Whole.
I agree.
Like, down. You're down.
I'm down for that. Like, I'm also a big King Kong fan, and I was always really sad for King Kong. I think that he deserves that white woman. You know, why can't King Kong have his white woman?
Well, there's a lot of problems there. There'd be a lot of issues, in addition to the bestiality.
a 40-foot.
Difference. Yeah, there's...
You don't think it'll work out?
I think...
Probably not. It was definitely entertaining.
Yeah.
You thought it was entertaining?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are
The
some
idea of
issues, but I was not upset for the money, you know?
I think the horror fans going into it need to know that what they're going to get. They're not going to get... It's surprisingly restrained as far as gore goes.
I mean,
There's still a little bit, but
there's still
enough
a little,
for
yeah,
that
there's
story.
enough gore. Yeah, he definitely injected into places that you wouldn't expect there to be gore.
It was a very well
Yeah.
combined classic horror movie with a fantasy fairy tale type story. So
Right. I think that the Sally Hawkins, the woman who plays the lead, I thought she did a great job.
Oh yeah, she was
Isn't it
amazing. I think they all did really great. All the performances were amazing.
Yeah.
I love Michael Shannon because he's a really great villain. I love to hate him in everything I see him in.
I think a lot of stories are made, live and die off their villains, and I think that he was a perfect villain for this movie.
plays a good suit.
he had zero redeeming qualities. Like he was racist, he was sexist, he cheated on his wife. Even when he was banging his wife, it was creepy. Like that creepy bathroom scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of weirdness.
He's just the man that knows what he wants. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, I feel like Octavia Spencer is going to probably play characters like this in every movie ever. And this is essentially kind of a mixture of Hidden Figures and The Help for her.
He played Zod, didn't he?
Zod, what's his name? I was talking about Octavia Spencer, the actress, the friend.
Yeah,
best friend.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he played Zod. He did play Zod. That's right.
He was an alright Zod.
It's a good Zod, you know. He's a hardcore Zod. He had it out for Kal-El.
You know.
He wasn't messing around. Yeah, so I feel like it was great. I think that you got to go into. I mean, I was surprised. We have a friend. His name's Enzo. He's also a huge horror fan. He's in Arnold Core punk band. He surprised me. He went to see it and he was like, "Nah."
He didn't like it?
He hated it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he was
I mean,
not happy about it.
yeah, I think there are horror fans that if you go in without the awareness of that this is not a horror movie, not even a horror movie with a tacked on love story. This is a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
by someone who loves horror.
It's a Beauty and the Beast fairy tale with a
Beauty
classic
and the Fish.
horror movie twist,
Right.
and which is all right. But yeah, if you're going in thinking it's going to be like just a,
Yeah, this is a good date movie. If
Yeah.
you're a horror
Yes.
fan and you're dating somebody you're not sure is into it, like this is a good initial like, hey, I love movies like this.
Yeah.
You need to know this. Whether either way, this is a good introduction. If you're a woman that loves horror or a guy that loves horror, this is a good way to introduce
That's a
you to
deal breaker for me, though. If you don't like horror movies, no, I won't even look at you. I
So
won't.
you're done.
Like, if I ever hear anyone say that they don't like horror movies, I'm like, just written off. You're not. No.
it was a good movie aesthetically.
You seem so restrained when
Right.
you're talking about it. You're like you're searching. You're like you don't have a negative, but you're like it was a good movie.
Tell us how you
aesthetically."
really feel.
Well, I didn't hate it, and that's like huge.
That's huge.
Because I hate everything.
Right.
So I didn't hate it, so it was good. But it was, aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
Oh yeah, I popped the most for like how it felt like you were underwater watching this thing.
Yeah.
And he used every shade of blue and green he could possibly use in that film.
Yeah.
It's in there.
No, he did.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good vintage film.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I'm saying it's a great movie. You should definitely see it. It's a good introduction when you don't want to scare somebody with how much you love horror, and you want to kind of like still, like, hey, here's a good.
You're easing it in.
This is a good ease-in movie.
Lubrication.
Just the tip. You're just getting the
Yes.
tip.
This is a tip. You're just gonna understand that there's.
It can get worse.
I might like bestiality horror movies.
Yeah, it's a doorway film for a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it would also be a good doorway. That's a doorway movie for a lot of things. Bestiality,
Pie.
old classic movies, Pie. Yeah, Pie. There's a big pie scene. But yeah, no, I mean, like, if you're a fan of cinematography and you're a fan of like really well-made movies and really interesting stories that are different, I think you should run to see this. But don't expect a horror movie. It's really not. That's not what it's about.
Yeah, there are some people that like hated it.
Really?
Yeah.
Like Last Jedi hated it, or just like
Kind of like.
Call him out. Call him out.
Kind of like.
Anyone I know?
Nobody there. Yeah.
But they didn't like it.
No, they're like, no, fuck this. This movie was terrible. The acting was bad. This and that.
Woo.
I was like,
See, it's kind of funny. It's the same kind of thing when people like slam bands and they'll be like, "Oh man, that guy can't sing on key. That singer wasn't on key the entire time." It's like, Yes, they are. Like you can't watch this movie and say like the acting was terrible, the story didn't make any sense. This is just it's like if you didn't like it, you
I
don't like
can
it.
see a lot of people not being into this movie. I can see it not being for everyone, but to say that the acting was bad, that I don't understand.
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
it's not-
like
it's
I
not
don't
fair.
get
I've
that.
heard a lot like the directing was terrible, the story was lame, the acting was bad.
Well,
like,
there was a lot of like
I'm like, I don't.
there was a
know
lot of
if any
plot
that's
holes for
true.
sure. And I think that like
I mean, it's a fantasy movie, so you shouldn't be critiquing it too much. Like, it's just a fun love story.
yeah,
I think it's a great date movie.
Yeah.
totally.
I would totally say
Totally.
date movie for sure. I would not agree if
yeah, it
anybody
mixes that creature film with that chick flick kind of thing, you know? So you're gonna like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, but to say, I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But to say that like it's poorly acted and poorly directed would be a gross understatement. Of like that is definitely not the problems. If you have
Definitely.
problems with this movie, it's not that.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not agree, and again, I hate everything. So like, I mean, I should hate this movie, but I don't. So
What did you not like about this? Because I know you had issues.
yeah,
With
two biggest things,
That are non-spoilers.
non-spoilers,
Say
were
that.
the mixing of eras really bugged me
Mm-hmm.
because it was very 40s.
it. Yeah,
at
someone
times.
that sells vintage clothing, he knows very well.
One of my jobs. It was very 40s because the stuff they were, watching and the music they were listening to in the beginning was all 40s, 30s, 40s stuff. And then they step out into the street and it's all these fish-tailed, fin Cadillacs and everything rolling by. So it's obviously the 60s.
It was the 60s.
Yeah.
It did take place in the 60s.
Yeah, so it bugged me a little bit.
Really? Because, I mean, don't you think that, like, real life, I mean, look at us sitting right here. Like, all three of us could totally fit into the 80s with what we're wearing
Oh, yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Or the 90s. Or the early 2000s.
Yeah, but back then it was very like once a new style came on, like no one was wearing bullet rolls and barrel rolls in their hair in the 60s because that was just like done by the late 40s. It's like, all right, we got to switch over. And the clothing, like by the early 60s, it was getting real colorful.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know.
I mean, I don't recall too many bell bottoms in 85.
Yeah. So it was, I mean, that's a minor
So
thing.
you felt
but
like it was a little too mixed.
just being involved in that world, that bugged me a little bit. I'm like, because I like, both are cool
You're
eras.
a stickler for that kind of stuff.
So I would have liked it if it was
I
like
didn't notice it.
all 40s. I thought that would have been like cool, or all 60s. But again, that's just a little gripe.
Yeah, that didn't bother me only because I found the whole thing presented as like, this is a retro world. This is a faraway time. But then it plays into the fairy tale aspect. But I can see, being a stickler, you're like, what the hell? This is from this time.
Right.
That dress is from that time. That
Right.
hairstyle's from that time. And this song came out then. What the hell?
Yeah.
Okay, and so what was the other big stumbling block for you?
I mean, like most movies that try and like really extend the suspense, it's just the time they took to do certain things. Like there was no urgency on some things where they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my god, there's some real shit going down right now, and you guys are fucking off and not getting on it. Like,
Yeah, maybe save that for later.
Well, that's actually a good segue. I think we're at a good place that we could probably go to a commercial
To the spoiler alert.
and then come back, and from this point on, it'll all be spoilers. We're taking the gloves off. So
Okay.
if you haven't seen this movie, this would be the time to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's give our ratings
or if you
first.
don't care about spoilers, you're just like, yeah, fuck it.
I'm gonna keep going. So yeah, so this was you're right. Ratings.
What are we
Okay.
rating this out of?
I don't know, like out of five stars
I give the
or-
movie 5 monster skulls.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
5 out of 5 skulls?
I do.
Damn.
I do.
All
or
right.
or are we gonna do skulls or do we do like zombie candy corns? What was the other thing?
They do zombie
Yeah,
candy corns.
Cute little zombie candy corns.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
Yes, cute little zombie candy corns.
I give it 5 out of 5 cute little zombie candy corns.
All
For
right.
really good direction,
Okay.
for an inventive story and a fairy tale thing. Is it perfect? I could actually say I would give it 4.5 because you could quibble about little things, but truthfully, it's a beautiful fairy tale story with a basis in horror, and the creature is fantastic looking, and it's fun. It's fun. I enjoyed the movie start to finish. So, 4.5 zombie candy corns.
4.5 for Dom. Shotzi Blackheart, you're up.
I'm kind of on the same page. I would give it like a 4.2. Not quite a 4.5.
Just to be
but...
different.
yeah, just to be different.
It's a little crawling zombie, a candy corn hand.
Yes, yeah, like just like the
He has like a bite taken out of it.
yeah, exactly. How cute! That's adorable.
That's how they should go. When they're halves, they're just like half a candy corn.
though. Just the leg.
Yeah. I'll give it like, since you did like a 4.2.
Oh, what are
maybe
you
I'll do
gonna
like
do
a
now?
4.1.5.
Wow.
No.
I'd
give it a solid 3.
okay.
Solid
That's
three.
that's kind of what I
it
thought,
was fun.
you know.
I wasn't like, it wasn't Boner City for me or anything.
Really, even when she was masturbating in the tub.
No. I'm like, all right.
Can I just say that was like the first thing that is shown in the movie?
That was like, okay.
There's definitely an undercurrent of sexuality in the movie.
Definitely. A lot of repressed, a lot of masturbation. Again, like I said before, it's a gateway movie for a lot of things.
All right, on that note, we'll be right back, right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. And when we come back, it's spoilers, so now you've been warned.
Oh, hey there, Johnny.
What's new, Susie Q?
Oh, nothing. I just got this dress at Juniper Tree Vintage. Do you like it?
Oh, wow, that looks really swell. Do they have any men's clothing?
Oh, yeah, of course they do. They got everything.
Wow, that's neat. Where are they located at?
Oh, well, they're located at 1506 Webster Street in Alameda, California.
Oh, wow, that's great. But what if I don't live here in Alameda?
Well, then you can check them out online on Facebook or Instagram, Juniper Tree Vintage.
Wow, thanks a lot, Susie.
Want to get a milkshake, Johnny?
That would be great. Let's go.
Swell.
All right, we were just talking about Shape of Water, and now we're getting into the juicy stuff. If you're still listening, that means that you already watched it and you don't give a shit about spoilers because you already seen it. And we were just talking about the beginning masturbation scene, and I just want to go back to that. Because...
Sure, pervert.
Well, first I want to say that she has a smoking body.
Yeah.
Like,
That was
I was
alright.
like, damn. I was like, damn. That's when I was behind her.
I wasn't mad.
No, there was nothing to be
I was
mad
like,
at.
because Creature is my favorite monster, and I was like, you gotta be a totally smoking babe to have Creature.
Yeah.
And she had that baby body.
She's kind of like comes up without, you wouldn't, Del Toro said that he met her at the Golden Globes and he was like really like a big fan of hers, and like he was wasted and he came up and pitched the movie and he was like, okay, I have this idea about you hooking up with the Creature and I want to write it for you. And he was like, and she was like, okay. And he's like, there's no way that this movie made me sound less drunk when I pitched it to this woman that I didn't know. But he said he picked her because he felt like she's like this woman that you wouldn't, like, it's very beautiful, but like could be sitting next to you on the bus, but then you kind of look at her and she has this way about her that like makes her even more attractive and beautiful and sexy and something. And,
Oh, yeah,
and he
definitely.
said that he had that response and he feels like it translated.
Yeah,
And I would agree.
Yeah, the more the movie went on, the more I was falling in love with her. Because, like, I just kind of was like, whatever. Didn't really think too much about her. But then, as the movie went on, I was like, oh, okay. I like this girl.
I mean, she's definitely like a freak in the sheets type of girl, which is cool. I mean, I wasn't really too attracted to her. She'd have a nice body. It's just a regular looking chick, doing her thing, but she's charismatic without having any words to say.
I
So,
love her.
That was good.
I love
Yeah,
her.
and I actually thought for two, like she plays a mute character that falls in love with another mute monster. And Doug Jones. By the way, Doug Jones is like quietly, I think, one of the coolest actors in Hollywood. He gets to play the coolest things. He said this was the craziest suit he ever had to wear, and I mean, honestly, this isn't a spoiler. I could have said this before. That monster is like the big sell. Like, it is so cool.
Yeah.
But if anything, I was a little, like, we said this earlier, like, I felt like the gore was restrained because, like, at the, like, you know, there's a point where I'm like, oh, yeah, he's gonna whoop some ass now. He's pissed.
Right.
And then he's just sort of like, flick.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, there was gore in places that you didn't think there would be gore, and then places where there could have been a lot of gore, there wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, there was gore with him biting off the cat's head and just random
Fingers and cutting off
just
cat's
random things. But then when he slices Michael Shannon's neck, it's just like, oh, okay, he's
I mean,
dead.
it could definitely missed the opportunities. It could have been a real good horror movie.
Could have. Yeah.
Or even just a little more, but it was obvious that obviously wasn't the focus.
No.
So
I actually wonder if they turned it down because he was trying to reach more people. And to be honest, you can tell that the studios weren't really sure about this one because it was released on an incredibly limited release.
yeah,
Where I had friends who saw it way before I got to see it.
Yeah.
And out here, it was just playing in San Francisco. You had to go to the city to see it at one theater. And then it went to a few more. Now it's gone to a few more, and I think they just announced a wider release. So it's been a slow creep of them being ultra careful. So I almost wonder if the restraining of the gore was so that, like, Del Toro was like, okay, I really do want you guys to push this movie. So, you know, it's like I feel like they had to play a lot of games to get this out.
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
But
Well, that kind of mimics, like, the release of Creature from the Black Lagoon because, I mean, no one in that really even wanted to be in it because it was just weird and...
But can we talk about how bad her breath probably stunk from all the fucking eggs she was eating? Like, it was just all hard-boiled eggs. I'm like, God damn.
I'm pretty sure she was eating a sandwich while he was eating eggs. An egg sandwich?
She made a lot of eggs.
She hard-boiled a lot of eggs every day for work,
This was a
like
big
every
thing.
single day.
Oh, that's true.
And then started
She
making
was
more to
before.
give to him.
That's true.
So she probably had bad breath,
Yeah.
and her farts probably fucking stunk super bad. That's a lot.
Creature
Of,
probably likes that, though.
but so
not
all I
into
could put,
that.
it's just sulfur. I'm like,
There
God
is
damn, it's a
literally
lot of
no way
sulfur.
the creature's gonna be bummed about.
Yeah,
like,
no,
breath.
because he smelled. You know,
Farts?
He ate a cat.
one
head.
he has a
Yeah,
fish.
he had a cat head.
He has a fish dick, and
Oh my god.
he probably smells like.
Best scene
you
in the
know,
movie, her
a
explaining how his wiener comes out.
That was
Yeah, that
actually
was-
cool.
that
With
was-
no words.
No
Yeah.
words.
Just gestures.
Amazing.
Just like
I loved that. Just
that's actually.
bloop, bloop.
Well, I liked actually how her friend reacted. She's like, "Oh, what's wrong with you? You look all happy," and doesn't she can't
She's
say
like,
anything. And
"No."
he's like, no. How? Like,
She's like, "Oh, girl."
like,
I'm like, "What? That's probably not what you would say." I'm like, "Oh, so this monster you're banging
what are you
this
gonna
thing?"
say if your friend's like at a certain point, as you said,
You just give in and be
bestiality,
like,
you're just
"All right, hey."
well, I'm glad you're happy.
I mean, in the 60s, no one would have been that cool with
Well, she was
that
pretty
stuff.
cool.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. If you told me that you banged some creature man, I'd be like, sweet.
Compared to the dumpster fire, which is the men of the world, it's
Yeah.
I
probably
mean,
not a...
tis true. Creature's a far better gentleman than most men.
How dare you?
I didn't say you.
How dare you?
You're
know-
great.
Don't worry, guys. I got your back. There's a lot of good men out there that aren't
There
creatures
is
who
a
have
lot
fish
of
dicks.
great. There is a lot of great men.
There's
you
a lot
are
of
one of
dickheads
them.
though too. But
You are too. You're too dumb.
I'm, you know,
You just called me a man.
okay. But one scene that I called the little shenanigans on is I don't know what kind of building she lives in, but I live in a building that's way tighter than a
Yes.
movie theater.
Oh!
And when she
Yes!
sticks some towels underneath the door and then floods the bathroom for a
Yeah.
lovemaking scene, I was like, Yeah, I took me right out because I was like, no way! Is
Yeah.
that rickety
I mean,
ass theater
there's-
holding that water in that room?
Granted, you got to suspend disbelief for some
Again,
things,
fairy tale.
but there's also
They
a
could've
point where it comes back into the real world, and you're like, that would definitely not happen, like at all.
Well, they could have stuck that somewhere else. Like when, like that opportunity could have came when he left, and maybe she found him at like a lake or something.
That he didn't
and they-
leave. That was the other
Yeah,
thing.
yes.
Well,
I was
yeah,
gonna
no,
say-
that's
lack
right,
of
that's right.
urgency. Like they steal a highly top secret asset out of a
Yes.
a
Government
facility. They managed to get him out. That's amazing. And then they just stick him in the tub, and it's like, dude, they are after you. Like,
Yeah, that pissed me
put
off.
him in the water.
When they only live minutes from the ocean.
Exactly.
Like they go to the
Like, just throw them in there. Why do they have to wait for the canal to? I don't
yeah,
understand.
yeah. I mean, the canals are. It's like, okay, you could just put him in there now. I mean, you could just jump in and swim out,
Yeah,
or
he could
you could
probably
just
climb.
drive down the street to the actual ocean.
Yeah,
Be
right?
like, there you go, man. You're gone.
That is
Go.
clearly not
No.
the only place that the land touches
Yeah.
the water. is
Like,
that
oh,
marina.
we gotta wait like
No,
4
she
days
just
for
wanted
it
to
to
get
rain.
fucked.
Yeah,
That's she just wanted to get fucked.
I mean,
She the second she saw Creature, she was like,
yeah,
I want to get fucked by you.
yeah. She
I don't
was-
know how it's gonna happen. I don't know how this is gonna work, but it's gonna happen.
No, I mean, there was obviously that like love connection, so she didn't want to, she wanted more time with him, but still, it's like
It
hey,
should have been
man.
somewhere else. That
Yeah.
somewhere where someone who doesn't work there, because like that's a top secret government facility. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they went and checked every single house of everyone that worked that day. You
I
know?
think they would. Because
They would.
They would.
They would.
If he had as much pressure on him as he supposedly was getting for losing that asset, the asset, which is what they call the creature in this.
Yeah.
It's called the asset. Like, if they had as much pressure, I feel like he would be on everybody's ass.
Every single
And
person.
so I was like, you just took him home and put him put him in the bathtub? Like,
Throwing
come
some
on.
salt
Like,
on him every once in a while.
and
Yeah.
I found that kind of funny. It's like certain parts of stories where they kind of stretch belief. But that said, one of my favorite parts of this story was the subplot for the Russian agent. I
Yeah.
thought that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
was really well
And
done.
my other favorite part was when they blew that one spaceship up, and Creature got sucked out into space, but then he floated back in through the Force.
You know, it took me a minute to realize you were talking
Me
about
too.
Last Jedi.
Me too.
For a second, I
That was
was
probably my favorite part.
like, this is the moment
When
in the
Creature was
podcast
flying through space
where
and
he
then
had
used
an
force to get
aneurysm.
back onto
Yeah.
the...
This is like-
That's my favorite part of it.
It's like Leo Poppins creature. No. Yeah, that was weird, but that's a whole different discussion. But yeah, no, I think that this had more great scenes than not, but there's some parts that I felt like took me out of it a little bit and went, "What? That's what you doing?" Or there was no sense of urgency
Yeah. Right.
with this highly top secret
Yeah.
creature.
I do also
Like-
think that their relationship just happened so quickly. Like, there wasn't enough build to this love story.
I do think the sex between them,
Right.
which which some people have described as a gateway to bestiality, but I do think that should have been more the climax of their relationship
Yes.
rather than something that happened and then
It
happened
happened
again
so quickly.
and happened again. It should have been something I feel like we build up, and then literally right before the getting him truly out of there, that becomes when that moment is like really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think that they shouldn't have taken him out of the facility so quickly. And there was more. They had more time in the bathroom and at her apartment than they did at the lab, which I think it should have been the other way around.
Right.
Like, spend a lot of time with him there, build a relationship there secretly, and then you bring him to your apartment, and that's real quick, and maybe like a sex scene happens or whatever, and then
It could have been a little more like, Beauty and the Beast, or even like Enemy Mine.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they're
Awesome.
like, they can't really communicate, but they get to know each other a little more. Aside from like, here, you want some eggs? Oh my God, I love you. You want
Yeah.
to dance and play some music? and let's get out of here. But
Well, yeah, I get that that the bond happened because there was a lot of kindness going on. And
Yeah.
clearly, we don't even know if the creature's its only creature. We only know that, like, much like as a callback to the creature of the Black Lagoon, it came from South America, was being worshipped as a god. Nobody knows. We don't actually know if it was the only one of its kind. We only know that was the one that was got captured by Americans.
it did kind of remind me though of a classic, like, Universal movie where it's like, A, B, C, D, E, and F happen, and there you go.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that didn't bother me too much because it was what, 2 hours?
It's a 2-hour movie.
2 hours, a little over 2 hours, maybe.
Let me see.
I mean, it didn't feel like it.
No, it feels like a really short film.
Feels short. So
It's 2 hours exactly. Well, 2 hours and 3 minutes.
yeah. So I mean, didn't bug me too much because it kind of made me feel like, all right, we're just gonna get into it and get just
Get in,
make a
get out.
beeline and go.
No, it does have the
So-
classic movie feel.
Yeah.
It does have a classic movie
Hey,
feel.
what was the question again?
What do you think about creatures?
Oh, his
superpower,
his healing.
his healing powers.
Why not?
Why not?
It felt very Cocoon to me, but
Yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if
Obviously it was.
people
had
thought
to
he
be-
was a god and whatever, okay.
Yeah, there was obviously had to be some sort of connection. Though the scars on her neck, like as soon as I saw him in the beginning of the movie, I was like, "Well, those are gills."
Yeah, I was also thinking, oh, is he gonna like heal her and then she's gonna be able to talk because he was doing other
I thought
things,
that
you know what I
might-
mean?
Yeah.
And then I was like, meh.
I didn't
Guess so.
understand making him sick. Like, that went nowhere.
That's also a Cocoon kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
E.T. kind of thing where
Right,
they get
okay.
sick.
yeah.
That was
And then
a,
instead of putting him back in
That's a
the
creature
fucking
trope.
tub,
That's-
she's
Right.
like, let's lay down on the bed and just lay down while you're
I know,
gasping
he's
for
like,
air.
I'm like,
I'm
he's
just gonna
like,
die.
yeah, put him
Probably
in the
wanna-
water. What? Like, just stop cuddling. He's
She really-
dying.
She really humped that guy.
Yeah.
He was out of breath. He can't believe she had a lot of pent up
Yeah.
energy. No, honestly, I it sounds like now we're like tearing it apart, but truthfully,
Yeah, we
again,
totally
I still
are.
back
Yeah.
this
No,
movie.
I still love it.
Yeah, I
we're
love
just
There was also, I kept thinking that the whole thing was just a figment of her neighbor's
Oh, that would've been
imagination.
funny, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because he's always like, "Well, I work alone." Because the storyline of him being, I guess, either being fired because he was a drunk or because him and his boss had like a fling
There seemed to be something there.
together. There was some sort of weird like.
Because didn't he say, like, I want to come home?
He's like, "I want to come back," but he's real like,
It was...
I'm gonna
there was
come
something
back.
there.
yeah.
Good
And
point.
guys like, well, we'll talk about that later. You just go home. So I was like, oh, is this? And then how he went into the pie shop and was totally flirting with the guy and like really pining for like some affection. And then,
Never got any.
yeah, you know what I mean? And he lived alone. He's
know
like,
why I
I
laughed
work
at that.
alone. And
I don't know why I laughed at that. I totally laughed at
Yeah.
like, he died alone. He
Yeah.
ended the movie never finding true love.
he lost his only friend.
silly artist. I don't know why that
and
was
it-
funny.
Is it because you're an artist?
I guess, yeah, probably.
it
Oh,
made me think that what's his name? Zod. What's that guy's name?
Sod.
Is it John Shannon?
Michael.
Michael Shannon was a manifestation of his boss.
Now you're getting the sucker punch level. Of,
You know
like,
what I
the
mean? It
depths
was just
of-
like in my fantasy,
right.
this guy represents my issues I have with the government.
So he's
meaning
making up all this.
my work,
Mm-hmm.
but in this fantasy, work is the government thing, and then
Well, he was the narrator.
yeah,
I don't think. I mean, I think.
Yeah,
it was,
he was the narrator.
It was supposed to be more of a literal thing.
Yeah.
But I see what. Yeah, that would have been an interesting angle. If
there was
they
just
explored that.
his whole like side story just didn't make any sense to me.
I think it was just about loneliness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And being misfits, trying to accentuate the fact that how lonely they all were. But I mean, I thought they created a pretty fun little family network. So yeah, overall, I gotta say, I stand by. I think this is a really beautifully made movie. I mean, there's a couple things that took me out of it, which is why I gave it the 4.5. Zombie candy corns.
Yeah.
Cute little zombie.
Do I have to say all of that?
Yes. The
Okay.
entire thing.
I give it 4.5 cute little zombie candy corns.
There you go.
Yeah, like I said, it was an enjoyable movie. And if you didn't think it was an enjoyable movie, then you're just a sad, lonely person who hates themselves because it was fun. And I can say that because I fucking hate everything.
Yeah, I think you just need to know what you're going into.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
it's fun. And everybody did a really great job. I definitely do not have fault with any acting. And I think that Sally Hawkins totally won me over.
Oh yeah, me
as,
too.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
So, like, I'm going to start renting some movies.
I'm a fan.
She teaches you eggs are a great source of protein in a meal,
Yeah.
a daily meal. How to masturbate within the time it takes to boil eggs.
Yeah, she gets right down to business.
It's
Yeah, she does.
very,
I don't know about you
she's
guys. I
on
don't-
schedule.
Not to give TMI, but I do not limit myself to a structured time.
Hey, she's got a schedule and she sticks to it
She does.
every morning.
See, that's why I like her. I'm the same way. I'm like,
You are
I-
not the same way.
what?
You have no schedule. It's like, oh, I'll just do whatever.
I just meant with.
Well, I think it's
like
pretty.
the quickness.
I think we're pretty established that this character will do whatever.
Yes.
Like, she was down. The creature looks
Obviously.
amazing, but I mean, I wouldn't have thought to bone it, but like, they went for it.
What a sweet job to get typecast as, though. Creature in like every.
Oh, Doug Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets to be every monster ever.
Mm-hmm.
He really does an amazing job. The creature is really truly a mix of the creature from the Black Lagoon
And Abe
with
Sapien.
Abe Sapien.
Yeah.
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 It's gonna be sick.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, that it is. What else is there to say? It's an amazing movie. It's worth it. And if you like creatures and monsters, I think it's a worthy movie to see.
Take a date,
Take a date.
or if you're lonely, go there and feel worse about yourself. That even a mute girl can find happiness with a creature,
I would watch this by myself.
And
Yeah,
you're
I'd
alone.
cry.
and no one loves you.
Well,
So
there-
you know, maybe don't go see it alone because it's probably gonna cause you to be suicidal.
I'll buy this movie. I'm gonna probably buy it. And I don't buy a lot of movies anymore. Like, it gets harder and harder for me to pick out movies
That's
to own.
true.
And
Yeah.
I would totally own this because I think it's a beautiful movie. It's a good intro to I love
Bestiality.
freaky.
Oh,
Yeah, bestiality.
yeah.
I like freaky shit.
She totally seemed like a Gigi Allen fan, though.
She's in there, man. She's awesome. I
Yeah.
think maybe that's also part of it. We're supposed to like understand right away this girl's lonely, but like
She's in it to win it.
she's in it to win it. So if you're in it to win it, go see The Shape of Water.
All right, this is Screaming E.
Shotzi Blackheart.
And Dominic Davey.
We're out of here.
I'll see you next time on Monster Candy.
You've been listening to Monster Candy Podcast. Want to find out more about the show? Find us on the web at monstercandypodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching Monster Candy Podcast. And you can find our Twitter at MonsterCNDYPC. Hey, we couldn't fit the whole name. What do you want from us? Let us know what you think of the show and if we're right or if we're wrong or what you want us to tackle next. We want to hear from you. Well, Shotzi and I do, but I can promise that E doesn't really care. To find out more about Shotzi Blackheart and her professional wrestling, follow her Twitter at Shotzi Black or her Instagram at Shotzi Blackheart. You can follow Screamin' E's band, the Memphis Murder Men, on Facebook at TMMM official page or his Instagram at Screamin' E. That's screaming with no G, add the E. For me, Dominic Davey, you can find my artwork at DominicDavey.com, my band Tsunami Bomb at TsunamiBomb.net, and you can hear my other podcast, 3 Gigs, at 3gigspodcast.com, or on the same platform you're hearing this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Monster Candy Podcast.